Hi, I'm Amanda Tapping from Stargate SG-1, Stargate Atlantis, and Sanctuary. You're listening to Sci-Fi Talk with Tony Collado. Enjoy.
Today's podcast features one of my favorite people and fan favorite as well in Amanda Tapping. This has been an interesting year for the actor, director, and producer. We discussed the fate of Sanctuary, her new movie projects, and a little bit about her appearance on Supernatural. Here's my conversation.
We missed you guys at Comic-Con this year. It really was kind of strange.
It was really strange. Like, I've been going to Comic-Con for how many years now?
Yeah,
It hit me really hard. It was quite funny because I was like, this is the first year I haven't been to Comic-Con in like over a decade.
Yeah, it's great.
It was really hard.
Yeah, I bet. I guess we have to kind of get it out of the way. It's Sanctuary. I mean, it was, Sci-Fi does a lot of good things. They don't do cancellations or, they didn't do such a great job with Eureka and certainly not with your show, though they got a chance to finish their story.
Right.
Have you had a chance to process all of that, since that happened?
Well, there were so many factors at play that Comcast taking over NBC and therefore Sci-Fi, it changed the parameters for them a bit. They weren't able to make decisions as quickly as they would have liked and so I think that delay had a massive effect on us.
Yeah.
In the time that Sci-Fi wasn't sure when they were going to bring us back, if they were going to bring us back, what was going to happen. Our financiers, and as you know, we're privately financed. Our finance got nervous, and every year we struggle with them anyway as to whether or not they're going to, pay another season of the show. And with the delay from Sci-Fi, it made them very nervous. Now, we had CTV on board. We had other networks around the world on board. But without the U.S. sale, our financiers were like, not sure that we can do this.
Yeah.
And then in that time, in the time of indecision, the great time of indecision is what I call it, our studio came up for lease.
Oh,
and the financiers were absolutely, and rightly so, unwilling to sign another year lease without a commitment from Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
So we had to release the studio, which meant releasing the assets or at least storing them.
Wow. Which
wasn't such a big deal because season 4 ended Sanctuary, but we certainly wanted to keep that set alive to revisit it.
Oh, yeah.
So I think when the things were being pulled out of the studio and we had very little time to do it, that's to me when the death knell really rang. It was like, either, I can't see our financiers suddenly going, okay, let's find another studio and let's get her back up. It seemed to me like that was kind of it. And even though we had pitched a really great mini-series to Sci-Fi, and I don't know, I would love to think that there was still potential at least to do the mini-series, which I thought was really cool. Damien and I went down there and pitched them on a really neat idea. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, it's up to the financiers because they own the intellectual property that is story. So.
Yeah. Is there a chance you might kind of go back to the beginning and go to the internet and do something like that? Even
if we were to do that, we would still need to get the approval of the Beat Group.
Oh, okay. And the funny thing is, what you guys started, a lot of people are on board doing right now. There's
absolutely.
Yeah, you guys started a tidal wave there.
We always felt like we were sort of at the forefront of something that had huge potential and was going to be really big. But I think that we didn't know how to monetize it. We were definitely ahead of our time.
Yeah.
But I think now people are more savvy about how to make that work. And I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to see that the model, sort of holds up.
Yeah, when you see Warner Brothers getting behind with Bryan Singer on H+, which is a totally internet series, I mean, it wouldn't have happened probably without Sanctuary, frankly.
I don't know. I mean, that's lovely to think that, but I think eventually someone else would have been as genius as we were.
I think what you did was you sped up the process a little bit. I think it got people thinking.
Maybe. We made it. We said this is possible, and there's a way to do this. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that you've been doing is directing, and you actually went back to England and directed some episodes of upcoming Primeval. That should be.
You know what? It's funny. I wish I was in England directing Primeval, but I directed the new Primeval, which is shot here.
Oh, it's shot here. Okay. Oh well, what a
yeah. So it's Primeval New World, and it is it's fully endorsed and is a direct spin-off of the British series. So it's Impossible Pictures is very much involved with it, and Omnifilm here in Vancouver. But it is a North American spin-off of the show. So Andrew Lee Potts came over and was in the pilot, and he was in the final episode, and you know, that to have one of your leads of the British series come over and sort of give us a ringing endorsement, that was nice.
Yeah.
But it's funny for me because I was a hired gun. This was the first time I had directed for television where I wasn't intimately involved with aspects of the show.
Yeah.
This was, you come in, I didn't know a lot of the crew, especially the prep crew. It was great. It was fantastic and daunting at the same time because it's like, wow, it's not my time. I can't make decisions. You know, on Sanctuary, it was so easy. It was like, no, then we just won't do that.
Yeah,
we'll do this instead, and everyone will just live with that, and that's my decision, and it's all good, and nobody's worried about it.
Yeah.
Whereas every time I wanted to change the script or do something on Primeval, it was like go through the hierarchy and get permission.
Yeah, exactly.
By my third episode, I was like, I'm sure this will be fine.
That's good. So you did at least 3 then that weekend?
Yeah, I did 3.
Oh, cool. Very cool. And is it going to come here to the States eventually, or how are they going to do it?
I think so, yeah. I mean, one is distributing it, and so, yeah, I'm not sure. That would be a question for the powers that be, which I am not one.
Yeah. One of the things that I heard that you're involved in is a good old sci-fi spoof called Space Milkshake.
Yeah.
And you executive produce that, so you do have some say in that one. And
kind of, yeah. You know, it's really funny because we all got executive producer credit on the movie, and it's I hate taking that credit unless I actually earn it.
Yeah, I hear you.
For me, executive producer was like, it was not a vanity credit. Well, I feel like Space Milkshake, it was a bit more of a vanity credit. It was like, and you can all be executive producers. Like, I don't care. It's just a title. You know, if you don't earn it, you just shouldn't have it. But, I mean, we did do certain things, and certainly the 4 of us, the 4 actors, all steered decisions, but the script was written. We had a director, and it wasn't like, if anyone should get that credit, it was Robin, because he and Rob Merrilees really produced the movie.
Oh, cool.
But Billy Boyd and Kristen Kruick and I were happy to be there.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Fun. The Sci-Fi pedigree was pretty amazing on that movie.
Great cast. You mentioned Kristen, Billy Boyd, and that should be a lot of fun. And I just, is it like a 50s style spoof, that kind of thing?
It is. It feels very, and maybe that's why it feels a bit uncomfortable. Is it, the whole time we were like, we think this is funny. Is it funny? And it was one of those scripts where I read the script and I was like, I don't get it. And Robin said, you're not supposed to get it. It's, and it took a long time to convince me to do the movie. Robin kept asking me, and then Rob Merrilees and Robin took me out for lunch, and Billy Boyd had signed on at that point, and Kristen Kruick had signed on, and so I was like, oh, well, if those guys are cool, then I'm in, It's a very over-the-top, spoofy, monster movie kind of sci-fi movie with very arch characters.
And you played it straight? I
played it straight.
Well, that's the fun of it.
As hard as that was for me to do, I played it straight. I play a very unhappy woman.
Oh.
Valentina I think at one point she was this really beautiful, joyful, funny, sexy kind of space chick, and now she's bitter.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Wow.
And a little angry. And, it's claustrophobic. They're stuck on this sanitation station in orbit around Earth.
Yeah, exactly.
They never get to touch down on Earth.
Not exactly a plum assignment.
And yeah, exactly. And her and Billy Boyd are boyfriend and girlfriend, and they kind of just have gotten sick of each other. So there's much humor in it.
Wow, cool. I also hear that you have a juicy role coming up on Supernatural. Am I right on that? I
do. Well, I don't know how juicy it is yet. I've only shot 1 episode so far, and I shoot again tomorrow.
Nice.
I'm really not. I'm kind of gag ordered, except for what's already been put out there, which is I play a character named Naomi, who's an angel. Yeah, that's about all I can tell you.
A little typecasting there.
Yeah, exactly, right? When I saw the press release saying, major recurring role, I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
But really, the only scene I've shot so far is very much an introduction to the character.
Oh, cool.
But I have to say that, you know, it's always coming from a show that lasted a really long time and then jumping onto another show that lasted for 4 years to walk onto the Supernatural set where it is such a well-oiled machine and the crew is so in tune. Mm-hmm. It's, you know, it feels like going home.
Yeah.
It's so nice. And the first AD, whom I just adore, has been with the show since the very beginning. And so he has an encyclopedic knowledge of this show.
Oh, great.
So I could turn to him and go, Kevin, what about blah, 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 and this angel? He'd go, oh, wow, you should watch episode, 407 or whatever it is, right? He would. And then he put together a bunch of episodes for me and said, you need to watch all of these. This will give you a good background.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
To walk onto a show and have people, and there are a lot of people who have been with the show since the beginning. So it was like Stargate. A lot of our crew were there from day one. There's a nice familiarity about that. It's really a comfortable place to be.
Funny show. It was only supposed to go 5 years, and here we are, year number 8, and they just keep rolling. And it's the boys. They just have this great chemistry, and the fact that they're brothers.
They have a great chemistry, and it doesn't hurt that they're really, really easy on the eyes.
No, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, but they have a wonderful chemistry.
Yeah, I dig the show. There was something appealing, and all the things that have happened, and people have died and come back, and yet they still keep it running, and it's awesome. Mm-hmm. So it's cool. I also hear that you're actually in a comedy called Random Acts of Romance.
And we open at the Vancouver International Film Festival on Friday.
Nice, nice.
I shot Space Milkshake and then traveled for a bit and then came back and shot Random Acts. Excited about it.
Kind of nice to do a comedy?
Oh, it's great. I mean, that's what was so great about Space Milkshake was to come off Sanctuary and go into something really light and fun. Yeah. And Random Acts of Romance it's the anti-romantic comedy.
Yeah.
It's couples whose relationships are falling apart. So they're really intense, dramatic moments. Mm-hmm. But the whole time you're aware that you're sort of playing it for certain beats.
Yeah.
And that's fun. And I did physical comedy that I haven't done in a really long time. And it felt great.
That sounds fun.
Super happy shooting this movie because there was just something really liberating about not being afraid to just put it all out there. And the character is unattractive and she's certainly not glamorous and she's shed all the accoutrement and just kind of be plain and bitter. I'm into this bitter phase of my career. But it was great. And just to feel really safe on a set and go full out comedy.
Yeah, it's nice.
It was really, really fun. And I think, I've seen clips from the movie, but I have not seen the whole movie. I've seen the trailer and I've seen a couple of scenes, but I haven't seen the whole movie. So it's interesting. Friday will be the first time I see it, and that's in a full theater.
Oh, nice. Nice.
With a whole bunch of people, so.
That's great. Well, that's not typecasting because that's not you at all. So very different from you. So that's a cool thing to play somebody totally different.
Yeah, she's fun.
I also heard about that you were in, this is a much more serious film called Taken Back, Finding Haley. It's about a mother whose daughter was abducted. Am I on target with that one too? That
was, and that happened right after Random Acts of Romance. I started shooting that. So it was a busy time and it was a very intense film.
Yeah.
It's for Lifetime, so from my perspective, it was like my character was just charged all the time. Mm-hmm. And the woman really on the edge of a nervous breakdown. Mm-hmm. What was interesting was we did the first read-through and Moira Kelly plays the mother whose daughter is abducted. And her best friend, Nicole, played by Nicole Oliver, is an old friend of mine. And we're all moms. And we sat there, the three of us, talking about our children and what we would do for our children and how would we react if something were to happen to our children. And the producer was a mom and her kids were on set. And so it was like everyone understood
the
stakes. David Cubitt, who plays my husband, has children. And so it was like we all got it. Yeah. And so it made it kind of more real coming from a place of being a parent and wondering, what the hell would you do?
Yeah.
If suddenly your child goes missing without a trace.
Yeah. Oof.
And of course, I'm on the flip side of that, being uber paranoid mom that something's going to happen to my child, and therefore bubble wrapping her. Mm. But at the end, when, all is revealed and my character is cuckoo, I have a nice little Jack Nickel.
Oh,
Nicholas means where,
oh, cool.
Johnny kind of moment. So.
Well, it sounds like you're mixing it up a little bit acting-wise these days.
I am, and I have to say it's been really scary and really, in retrospect, very nice.
Yeah.
I realize how incredibly blessed I've been for the last 15 years to have been consistently on television. And I am very comfortable in the milieu of shooting a TV series. The grind and the hours, and I love it.
Mm.
And so to suddenly be sort of unemployed was like, it was very depressing and very scary. But I kept, work came. There wasn't like I wasn't working, but it was just like I wasn't working consistently on a series. So as I finished the movie and, I gotta go, am I gonna get this next movie and then finish that? And, what's next? And then once I finished the 3 movies, then it was 3 episodes of Primeval. And so I was pretty busy until the end of June, July. And then it was like, now I really am seriously unemployed. It's been very liberating as an actor to sort of bust out and try a bunch of different things. Like you said, it's been really, and that's been great. And as a director too, to really stretch.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's cool that you direct something that you're not in, and it's another avenue that's open for you now, and that's
absolutely, and it's worked. I mean, I'm directing an episode of a new series called Arctic Air.
Oh, cool!
And that's a Canadian series that's in their 2nd season right now. So, while I was directing Primeval, I got a call from the executive producers of that.
There you go.
And would I be willing to do an episode? I was like, yeah.
Mm.
So I do that at the end of November. So I'm really excited. I am excited about that other side of my career, and I love the fact that I don't have to choose. I'm still able to do both.
Yeah, yeah.
Because people are like, so now you're just directing, and I'm like, why do I have to just be doing anything?
Exactly.
Now I'm going to direct, and there's a series I'm developing, and I'm still acting, so it still feels vital. It has been, and you and I have talked for years, Tony, so you know how I've always felt very grateful and lucky, and now it's been a year of, oh boy.
Yeah, I know.
It's been my soul-searching year.
I think what Sanctuary did for you was really open up a whole, world of behind the scenes, and really you learned so much, and as an artist, you've just been able to grow.
Absolutely.
So it's really cool.
Yeah, I'm so incredibly grateful for that experience.
Yeah, I mean, it still was a lot of fun to see that, the project grow and to what it became. And I can tell you that the fans were not happy at the end, and they vented pretty convincingly their argument that they wanted to see some kind of ending, So
I was disappointed. I was really disappointed. Disappointed from a lot of different levels.
I went to the upfront. I covered the upfront that Sci-Fi has, and this was before anything was announced. And I'm there, and I'm seeing all their shows, and I go, Sanctuary's not here. This is not a good thing. And I knew something was up. That was like my first inclination that something was up. And people were asking, and I said, no, I don't know. I haven't heard anything officially. And then finally, when it leaked out, I was like, the hammer fell down finally. So it was, it was, like I said, I wish they would have handled it. But I personally think there's some more stories to be told there. And certainly to kind of tie it up in a bow would be nice and send it on its way.
Oh, we do too, absolutely. And I don't think Sci-Fi disagrees with that. I mean, Mark Stern has always been very supportive.
Yeah.
I think it was a combination of a lot of, we're slaves to many masters.
Yeah.
And Sanctuary was no different, and certainly the folks at Sci-Fi are no different. They have to answer to a lot of different people too. So,
sure.
In as much as it was disappointing, and I felt like, come on, somebody do something.
Yeah.
There's decision makers out there who could make this happen.
Sure.
But by the same token, it's like, we're all kind of, at that stage of the game, we were all kind of marionettes just waiting to see whose string would be pulled,
Yeah.
And that's a frustrating position to be in. And also at the hands of, and the mercy of our financiers, and if they say no, there's nothing anyone can do to make the show happen.
It was funny. I talked to Michael Shanks, and he said, I don't think I'll appear on Sanctuary. It just doesn't seem right at this time. And then, of course, he shows up. What I'd like to see is, I know because it's not going to be here. I don't know if he'll be here in the States, but I know Raising Hope will be in Canada. So I would like to see you kind of return the favor and appear on his show.
I would love it, and I've already talked to Michael about that. I'm like, dude, Yeah. You owe me a guest star spot.
That's right. That's right. It's got to be even that way.
Yeah, it's a great show. I'm so proud of him, and I'm really happy. He's so happy on that show. And,
yeah.
And he's doing a beautiful job on it.
He is. It's
really nice to see his success, because he's another guy who he always works, and he always works hard.
Yeah. Talk about another person growing as an artist, and he certainly has. I mean, he's really...
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He is hitting the ground running right now, and he's got all these talents that he can use, so it's great to see him doing that. It's a cool show, too.
Yeah, it is cool, yeah.
I mean, before we go, how do you kind of see Sci-Fi on TV? Not the channel, but the actual future of it. It's kind of going through a transition from what I can tell, from my end of it. It's going through something different right now, and a lot of it is to do is... eventually you will be able to see Sanctuary on there too. On my Kindle Fire, I can watch episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
So television itself is kind of going through a strange upheaval. So how do you see it going forward?
Well, it's interesting because I think the parameters of Sci-Fi have changed so much.
Yeah.
And we've seen that throughout the years anyway. It's not just space-oriented shows. And, you've got shows like Fringe, and you've got shows like Supernatural and Sanctuary, and but it does feel like it's weird, and I don't want to sound like there's this great sense of foreboding doom, but it feels like there's a chapter that's closed. It's like when these shows end, what's the next generation of Sci-Fi?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm kind of excited here because I think, we're so much more savvy computer-wise and in terms of effects and what we can generate. And like you said, people can watch it on so many different platforms. There's so many different ways to watch TV.
Oh, yeah.
That I think maybe that helps. Maybe it makes it more accessible or more mainstream, or maybe makes it prohibitively expensive. I don't know. I don't know, what producers are thinking now. Like, will they get the revenue stream that they need in order to keep producing in Sci-Fi?
I think they will. I think what they'll do is
I think so too.
I think they'll sell they'll have a contract where Netflix is actually looking for shows at this point. So it's amazing. They wanted to bring back that program that was on CBS that only had one season. They were thinking about it. The Sci-Fi show that was on, and although the cast is scattered to the hills at this point, but there's definitely providers like that are looking into it. And they want to have their own shows, and that's just a really, just changing the marketplace a lot.
It's going to be cool, though. I mean, it opens up the possibility, and I think creatively, too, if you have providers creating content as opposed to studios and networks, or as well as. But, I mean, when it comes from a provider, I don't know, maybe you won't go through the same filters that you have to go through when you're on network.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we have to homogenize this a bit, or we have to dumb this down a little bit, or we have to play this a little bit more safe, or, if it's the provider providing the content, then maybe they don't have to answer to that many different caveats. If that makes sense. So it might be a much more liberated Sci-Fi.
Yeah, I mean, look at what True Blood has been able to do that it could never do on a network. I mean, it's just amazing.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's it's just out there. So
that's a prime example.
Yeah. So I mean, without the censorship and the constraints, you might see some really interesting things coming down the pike, I think.
And it might be, a bit more game oriented.
Yeah.
Could be really cool too.
That's actually Sci-Fi's big thing is Defiance that's coming up. That's really, I kind of call it Son of Sanctuary in a sense.
Well, it's funny because when Sanctuary started, we wanted to be a multi-platform show where we had a gaming element and when we started on the web.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
And again, taking us full circle, it sort of feels like, maybe that was too early in the wave to get that started, but now certainly it's absolutely possible.
Yeah.
Doing it, so.
That's kind of like the pitfalls of being the pioneer. It's like you do it first, but you don't reap the benefits as much as some of the other shows that come after.
Not at all. Yeah. That's true. We still have bragging rights, though.
You sure do. And I'll keep bragging about it. I'm actually going to probably throw together some little podcast or something that kind of shows the history of the show. I think the fans would like that. Yeah.
Really, definitely.
I got a lot of conversations to go through, but it really was interesting to hear your viewpoints as the show was growing and when it finally went network. Yeah, it was really cool. Really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great experience for me. Really great experience. Really enjoyed that. Even to the end, I previewed every episode, and I was looking forward to having video clips this year of the show on my site that I can do that.
I know, right?
And
well, you've always been a big champion for us, and
yeah,
I can't thank you enough for that.
It was my pleasure. I mean, you guys did something that was awesome, and I think when it shows up on some of those other platforms, that's what's going on with Enterprise, Star Trek Enterprise. It's like one of the biggest things on Netflix right now. It's amazing. It's crazy.
Wow.
People rediscover it. It's amazing. But
it's very cool.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why the whole marketplace is just on its ear, and the networks don't know what to do anymore. It's like, what are we going to do here? They don't even have a way of rating, and they better pay attention to those downloads. That's all I can tell them. And views.
Yeah.
Those are very, very important. I want to thank you so much. Great to talk to you as always. And
great to talk to you, Tony. Thank you.
Such a pleasure. And I have a vote. If there's ever going to be another series that somebody wants to get off the ground, I say you contact these guys, the Sanctuary team. They did it right. So they're the ones to talk to as far as I'm concerned.
Cool.
Yeah, you and Martin and Damien, what a team that was. And, man.
Yeah, I think so, too.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, thanks so much. And hopefully we'll see you next year at Comic-Con.
I hope so, Tony, definitely.
Yeah, all right. You take care of yourself.
You too.
All right. Pleasure as always.
Yeah, and to you.
All right.
Bye-bye.